Hi, this is Sherry Mumford with Stamping at Last. Today I'm going to show you how I made this Christmas card. I used a new set from the August to December 2020 mini catalog, and I used the bundle on page 26 called Coming Home Bundle. So I'm going to use this stamp set and these Home Together dies. Whenever I get a new set of dies, I always make a copy of the dies before I remove them from the tape. That way I make sure I have all the dies together when I put them away so I don't lose any. So I'm going to show you what pieces to cut out if you want to make one similar to this card. So from the base of my card, I used Pool Party 8.5 by 5.5. And then I scored it Landscape at 4.25. Then for the inside of the card, I used white cardstock, 5.25 by 4. Now you noticed on my sample I did stamp it with black ink, but then I decided for the one I'm going to make today, I used the Poppy Parade. You'll also need a piece of white cardstock, 5.25 by 2.75. That's going to be for this snowbank in the background with the trees. Then also a piece of Designer Series paper, 5.25 by 3. That's for this background. And I'm going to show you the Designer Series paper that I've used for this card. The Designer Series paper is called Trimming the Town. It can be found on page 25 of the catalog, Trimming the Town Designer Series paper. And this paper is saving me a lot of work. You'll notice on the card I have this little church. Well, basically I just fussy cut it out of this piece of paper. I just fussy cut that little church. Then also the dies with this set cut the houses and trees from this page. So for this card I'd used that red house. So there's the die that goes with that. I cut some little trees. There's a die for that. Every house and tree on this page has a die that will cut it out. Now when you run out of the Designer Series paper, the stamp set has the houses and trees. So you'll still be able to stamp these and color them. But since I've got this paper, I'm just using these for this card. Now I was going to show you both sides of this paper. This is the one I'm going to cut the church out of. These are the ones I cut little houses and trees out of. Now for my background, I'm using these trees. That's what's on the other side. But I'm using these trees for my background. But I've seen some samples where the stars are the background, so that makes a really pretty background as well. There's more little houses. I love this paper. There's so much you can do with it. There's some people in their winter clothes. And then for this, there's some little wreaths. Now you could use a die. There's a die to cut out this wreath. I stamped mine and I colored it. And then I cut it out with a die. But you can use these if you want to. And then you notice on the other side, there's different greetings. This one says tidings of comfort and joy. Then for this next one, I think I might use this most wonderful time of the year. These are cut in 1/4-inch strips. So I cut them right on with my trimmer, and then I'm just going to use my scissors to cut out the greeting that I want. In fact, I'm going to use this one, so I'll set that aside. So this is really fun paper to work with. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut out. You'll notice I cut out the church from this one. That was the one I used. So I'm going to cut out the other church really quick. There's not a die for this church, so I'm just going to fussy cut that with my scissors. Okay, there's the little church. So I'm getting my piece of Pool Party. I'm going to score it. I'm going to burnish it on this score line. Now the greeting that I put inside this card is from the Tulle Tidings, the Tulle Christmas set. It's may this season be filled with beautiful moments and happy memories for you and those you hold most dear. So this is what I'm putting on the inside, and I did go ahead and stamp that with Poppy Parade. Looks like I got it a little too wide. This should be 5 1/4 by 4. So what I did, I got this too narrow. This should be 5 1/2. So I'm gonna get a new piece real quick. Okay, we'll give this a shot. See if I got it right this time. Yes, okay. So this is gonna go on the inside. Then on the outside, I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece of paper down with the trees on it. Now this piece of Designer Series paper is 5 1/4 by 3. And like I said, if you prefer to use the stars on that other piece of paper, that looks pretty too. Okay, now I'm going to get that piece of white paper that's 5 1/4 by 2 3/4, and I'm going to put this die right at the top of it. This is part of that die set, the Home Together dies. And when you put it on here, it's a curve. So the thing is to make sure that the trees line up straight with the side of the paper. Like you don't want to, you just got to be sure the trees are straight. And I tape it down once I kind of get it set. That way it doesn't move once I run it through my die cutting machine. So I'm just going to tape this with some removable tape. This is removable Scotch tape. And some people use washi tape, whatever you have that doesn't tear your paper. So now I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Okay, so I'm just going to peel this tape off. And I reuse this tape. It's a little bit pricey, and I can use it several times before I throw it away. Now this is going to go here, but I'm not going to glue it just yet. I'm going to wait until I get my house cut out because I'm going to place it behind these trees. I'd already cut out one of these little trees, so I'm going to set that here. And I'm going to go ahead and use this die to cut out the house. And like I say, this is from that piece of Designer Series paper. I'm going to cut both of these at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and tape it down so it doesn't move. And I'm going to run this through the die cutting machine. So I'm going to go ahead and decide where this house is going to land. If this is going to be about there, I want the house to be about like this. So the edge, the bottom of that house, I put right real close to that curve. And I was going to put a little line above the chimney. That way, after I put glue on the house, I can line it up without this being in the way. This designer paper makes it so easy and quick to make these cards. So there's my chimney, close to that pencil line, and just make sure my house is straight on the side. And then I erase that pencil line. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue down this snowbank with the trees, or this hill. So I'm going to put it right there. And you can see I don't use a ton of glue on this. It really doesn't need it. Just kind of the outsides to keep it down. And then I usually just do like one straight line on each little tree. Okay. Now what I should have done, I should have stamped this before I glued this down, but I'm still going to give it a shot. I love this little lamp post. It's part of this stamp set. See if I can do it without making too much of a mess. Now I know my church is going to go about right there. And I'll make it a little bit higher. There we go. So I want my lamp post to be about right there. And I used soft suede to stamp this. I'm going to try it on a piece of scrap paper first. To be sure I get it inked good. That looks really good. So I want it about right there. Hopefully I won't mess it up since I've already got it glued down. Okay. I'm going to pop up this church with some dimensionals. Okay. Now I'm going to get a piece of scrap white paper. And I'm going to stamp this Volkswagen and this wreath and color these. I'm going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. and then I'll color these. I'm going to use this light smoky slate for inside the wheels of the Volkswagen. I'm using light Poppy Parade for the Volkswagen and this ribbon on the wreath. I do have the dark Poppy Parade, but sometimes I think for me, it's better if I just start with the light and I can always make it darker. As you can tell, I'm not the best colorer, but that'll do good. Then I used the light Old Olive for the leaves on the wreath. Now I'm going to use these dies that came with the set to cut these two pieces out. So I'm going to run these through my die cutting machine. Since I kind of got red past that outline, I'm just going to cut this a little closer to the outline of the Volkswagen so it doesn't look quite as messy. On this wreath, I wanted it wouldn't look bad like this, but I want to cut out the middle of it just so you can see the church through the center of the wreath. So to get this started, I'm going to use my piercing tool. Just make a hole to get it's easier to get my scissor point in there. And then I'm going to just use some glue and put that right there on the steeple of the church. I love this little Volkswagen. That's one of my favorite parts of the set. I'm going to just kind of decide where I want these before I glue them down. Okay, about like that maybe. And I'm going to pop up the little Volkswagen first with some dimensionals. I'm going to glue this tree down, then I'll pop up the bigger tree. Okay. Then you'll notice on this, I did color that lamp and those windows. I used light Daffodil Delight, so I'm going to color those. Now the only thing I have left for this card is my greeting, and I am going to use Most Wonderful Time of Year. So I've already cut the 1/4 inch strip, so I'm just going to snip it. I love that there are greetings already printed out. It really makes a quick job of making your Christmas cards. Hopefully this year I'll get mine out. As many cards as I make, you think I'd have enough Christmas cards, but I never seem to by the time December gets here, so maybe this year will be different for me. So I'm just going to get this as straight as I can. So there it is. Very fast and easy to make, and it's so cute. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe you'd like to try to make some of these. I will have a list of all the supplies I used on my blog at www.stampingatlast.com. Thank you for watching.